You think that if a woman truly wanted you, she would make it obvious. You expect a clear signal, a green light, a confession that validates your intuition. But the deepest truth of female psychology operates on an inverse principle. The more she feels for you, the more she will try to hide it. Her sudden shyness, the way her eyes meet yours for a fraction of a second before darting away, the conversation she cuts short just when you feel a connection, these are not signs of rejection. They are the tremors of an emotional earthquake happening deep within her. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because what she feels is becoming too powerful, too real, too vulnerable to expose. Her distance is a defense mechanism, a shield protecting a heart that is beginning to beat in rhythm with yours. And the weight of that feeling terrifies her. If this feeling of standing in an emotional fog is familiar, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts below, because we are about to make it clear. The fundamental mistake you make is believing that attraction is a logical statement that must be spoken aloud. You see, her guardedness is a problem to be solved, a puzzle to be unlocked, so you apply pressure. You ask direct questions, you seek clarity, you try to force her hand to reveal what she feels, believing your job is to extract this confession. But in doing this, you are reacting to her test with the very insecurity she is screening for. You mistake her search for emotional safety as a rejection of your value, and you begin the chase. A chase that she, on a subconscious level, must resist, because a man who needs her words for his own certainty is not a man she can trust with her vulnerability. You've seen this before, haven't you? She appears in places you frequent, a coincidence that happens too often to be random. She might join a group conversation you're in, but she'll speak to everyone but you, her awareness of you, a tangible force in the air. This orbiting behavior isn't a game, it's a reconnaissance mission. She is testing the waters, creating proximity without the risk of direct engagement. She is observing how you carry yourself, how you interact with others, how you exist when you are not focused on her. She needs to see if your presence is a stable ground or a shifting sand. For you, this feels like a contradiction, a maddening dance of approach and retreat. It's designed to feel that way, to see if the ambiguity frustrates you into a desperate action or settles you into a confident stillness. Her silence is the most potent signal of all, and it's the one you misunderstand the most. When she is near, that quiet is not empty space. It is charged with unspoken data. You feel it as tension, but it is in fact a deep form of communication. In that silence, she is asking a critical question. Can you handle this? Can you sit in this uncertainty with me and not fall apart? Can you see what I'm feeling without me having to risk everything by saying it? Her guardedness is an involuntary filter, a subconscious vetting process designed to weed out men who need constant reassurance. She is not hiding from you. She is revealing her deepest need, the need for a man whose perception is so attuned that he can hear what she cannot say. She is waiting to see if you are a man who can read the storm, or just another boy who is afraid of the rain. And so, when she pulls away, you believe the story you've been told your entire life. Absence of evidence is evidence of absence. Her texts become clipped, the energy cools, and the space between her replies grows into a vast, silent canyon. Your mind, a machine built to solve problems, immediately frames this as a fatal error. You believe her withdrawal is a referendum on your value, a definitive judgment that you have been found wanting. This is the first lie, the one that poisons the well. You see her distance not as a complex emotional reaction, but as a simple, brutal rejection. The panic that floods your system is not just fear of loss, it is the ego's primal scream, the terror of being erased. You feel an overwhelming compulsion to fix this, to close the gap, because her silence feels like a verdict, and you cannot stand to let it be the final word. This panic then gives birth to a disastrous strategy, the campaign to win her back. You believe attraction is a negotiation, and you have just received a low offer, so you must now increase your bid. You send the funny meme, the casual thinking of you text. the question designed to sound nonchalant but which is heavy with need. Is everything okay? You think you are demonstrating care, but what she feels is pressure. Your actions are not a display of your value, they are a broadcast of your anxiety. You are trying to solve an emotional equation with logical inputs, pouring more data into a system that is already overloaded. Every unanswered message, every polite but distant reply she gives is not a sign of her fading interest, but a reflection of her growing certainty that you cannot handle the intensity of the storm that is brewing inside of her. Tell me if you've seen this before. The ambiguity becomes a physical weight, a constant static humming beneath the surface of your days. You can't take it anymore. You decide you need clarity, that you deserve to know where you stand. This is the lie of false maturity. You craft the message, the carefully worded monologue where you lay your cards on the table, demanding to see hers. You call it being direct, being honest. But it is the furthest thing from it. It is an abdication of your emotional sovereignty. You are telling her, in no uncertain terms, my peace of mind depends on you. Please manage my internal state for me. You are asking a woman who is already terrified of her own vulnerability to now carry the burden of yours as well. It is a demand disguised as a request, an act of emotional extortion that masquerades as a healthy conversation. Her response, or lack thereof, becomes the next chapter in your self-deception. When she meets your demand for clarity with even more ambiguity, a vague response, a deflected question, or the deafening roar of complete silence, you take it as a personal indictment. This, you believe, is the ultimate rejection. The story you tell yourself is that you were not charming enough, not successful enough, not man enough. You have made her silence about your worth when it has always been about her fear. She is not rejecting times you asterisk. She is recoiling from the pressure you applied. She needed to see if you could sit in the fire with her, and instead you asked her for a fire extinguisher. Her retreat is not a judgment on your character. It is a natural response to a perceived threat. You sought certainty, and she delivered it, the certainty that you were not the safe harbor she was looking for. And then comes the most corrosive lie of all, that this is a game and she is a manipulative player. You see her laughing with another man, her body language open and relaxed in a way it never is with you, and you feel a surge of bitter resentment. You think, so this is what it's all about. Tests, games. You frame her behavior as a conscious, calculated strategy designed to make you jealous or to prove a point. But you are mistaking a deep, subconscious survival instinct for a shallow, premeditated plot. She is not testing times, you asterisk. Her entire being is testing the situation. Her ease with others is not an indictment of you. It is a baseline against which she measures her own visceral, complicated, and far more intense reaction to your presence. She is not playing a game with you. She is trying to survive the one her own heart has started without her permission. Finally, you arrive at the great deception of defeat. You conclude that it is over, that you have lost. You retreat, you emotionally disengage, you tell yourself and your friends that it just wasn't meant to be. This act of surrender feels like taking back control, a dignified exit from a losing battle. But it is the ultimate failure of perception. You have mistaken the most critical phase of her vetting process for the end of the story. You walked off the field right when she was about to see if you would hold your ground. You believe you lost her, but you did not. You lost your nerve. You lost your center. You allowed her storm to extinguish your fire, never realizing that the test was not to calm her storm, but to prove that you could be the unshakable lighthouse that stands firm within it, a beacon she could navigate by. The truth is, you have been looking at a masterpiece of emotional engineering and calling it a malfunction. Her withdrawal is not a system failure. It is the system working perfectly. It is a defense mechanism designed to protect the most valuable thing she has, her genuine emotional investment in a man. The more she feels for you, the more that ancient, instinctual part of her brain activates, treating those feelings like a fragile treasure in a fortress. The walls go up, the guards are posted, and the gates are locked. Her distance is not a measure of her lack of interest. It is a direct measure of the value of what she is protecting from you. She pulls away not because you are wrong for her, but because she is terrified that you might finally be the right one, and the risk of that being true is almost too much to bear. This entire process is a subconscious audit of your emotional stability. She is not consciously thinking, I will test him now. Her nervous system is doing it for her. Every mixed signal, every moment of ambiguity, is a stress test designed to see if you will crack under pressure. When you chase, when you demand clarity, when you display anxiety, you are failing this audit in real time. You are showing her that her emotional world, which is already a storm of uncertainty for her, is too much for you to handle. She needs a man whose presence is a calming force, a quiet certainty that can absorb her chaos without becoming chaotic itself. She is not rejecting you, she is instinctively recoiling from the anxiety you are projecting onto her, an anxiety that confirms her deepest fear, that you are not the safe harbor she is searching for. You must understand that a woman's emotional surrender is a far greater gamble than a man's. Biologically and psychologically, she is wired to be the more discerning gatekeeper of intimacy. When she lets a man into her heart, she is also letting him into her nervous system. His moods will affect hers, his stability will determine hers, his presence will shape her reality. Her guardedness is a profound act of self-preservation. Before she grants that kind of access, she must know on a primal level that the man is a source of strength, not another source of turmoil. She isn't looking for a boy she has to manage or reassure. She is looking for a man whose own inner peace is so solid that it becomes a sanctuary for her. Her shield is not meant to keep you out forever. It's meant to filter out any man who isn't strong enough to see what's behind it. Think about her so-called coincidental appearances, the way she materializes in your orbit. This is her gathering intelligence from a safe distance. She is observing you in your natural habitat, watching how you carry your own frame, how you command your space, how others react to you. She needs to see if your confidence is authentic or if it's a performance designed for her. When you are across the room, laughing with your friends, completely absorbed in your own world, and not anxiously scanning for her, you radiate a power she cannot resist. You are demonstrating that you have a life, a purpose, a center of gravity that exists independently of her. She doesn't want to be the center of your universe. She wants to be invited into a universe that is already compelling and whole on its own. Her moments of manufactured jealousy, speaking to another man while subtly watching your reaction, are the purest form of this test. You've seen this, haven't you? Her body is angled toward him, but her awareness is locked onto you. This is not a petty game to hurt you. It is a sophisticated emotional experiment. She is creating a controlled burst of pressure to see how the container, your masculine frame, holds up. Do you become reactive, sullen, and possessive? Or do you remain calm, centered, and unmoved, secure in the connection you feel? Your non-reaction is the most powerful reaction of all. It communicates a deep, unshakable confidence. It tells her that you are not threatened by other men because you are certain of your own value, and that certainty is precisely what makes her feel safe. And then there is her silence. You have been treating it like an empty void that you must fill, when in reality it is a sacred space she is inviting you into. When she is near you and says nothing, she is communicating more than she ever could with words. That silence is a question. It asks, can you handle the intensity of what is unspoken between us? Can you sit here with me and just be without needing to fix it, define it, or escape it? Your ability to simply hold that space, to meet her gaze with a quiet understanding, to let the tension hang in the air without flinching, that is the only answer she is looking for. It proves you understand the language of her soul, a language that is spoken not with the tongue, but with presence. You are showing her that you can handle the storm by simply being the calm at its center. This is the great inversion you must accept. The very things you interpreted as rejection are the most profound expressions of her interest. Her averted eyes hold more power than a direct gaze because they betray a feeling she is trying to control. The conversation she cuts short is more significant than one that flows easily because its abrupt end is caused by an emotional overload. Every step she takes away from you is a testament to the magnetic pull she feels toward you. You have been looking for a clear yes, a green light in a world of logic. But her world, the world of deep feminine energy, communicates in paradox. The true signal of her desire is not the green light of approach, but the amber light of her hesitation. It means a powerful force is at play, and it is begging you to proceed with awareness, not aggression. Ultimately, you must realize that all of this, the distance, the orbiting, the silence, is not a test times for you asterisk. It is a test times for her asterisk. She is testing her own vulnerability, her own judgment, her own heart. She is desperately hoping that you are the man she feels you are, and she is creating conditions to see if that feeling is true. She needs to see if she can trust her own powerful instincts with a man who doesn't need a verbal confession to understand the truth. The moment she sees that you can read her silence, that you can feel her fear and not run from it, that you can stand firm in the face of her ambiguity, she will experience a sense of relief so profound that she can finally stop hiding. Not because you passed her test and won the prize, but because she finally feels safe enough to surrender. So what is the ideal reaction? It is not an action at all. It is a profound shift in perception. The moment she pulls away, the moment her silence hits you like a wall of cold air, you must stop seeing it as a problem to be solved. The average man immediately tries to fix the situation, to bridge the gap, to repair what he perceives as a breakdown in connection. But the centered man understands this is not a breakdown, it is a communication. He does not react to the surface turbulence. He feels the deep, powerful current beneath. He recognizes her withdrawal for what it is, a measure of the emotional stakes. And so he does nothing. He simply observes. This inaction is not born of indifference, but of deep understanding. He stops trying to control the weather of her emotions and instead becomes the calm, unshakable observer of the storm, knowing that his stillness is the only thing that can truly influence it. Instead of flooding her inbox with questions born of your own anxiety, you must learn to embrace the space she creates. When her replies become shorter, when the time between messages stretches from hours into a day, your instinct will scream at you to fill that void, to send a joke, a question, a meaningless check-in, anything to pull a response from her and soothe your own insecurity. The ideal response is to give her the gift of your own silence. This is not a punitive silence, not a game of who can hold out longer. It is a confident, peaceful silence. It communicates something far more powerful than words ever could. My inner state is not dependent on your immediate validation. I have a life, a purpose, and a center of gravity that holds firm whether you are near or far. Take all the space you need. I will still be here, solid and unmoved, when you are ready to return. When she creates a test of jealousy, speaking with another man while her awareness is locked onto you, the common reaction is a surge of primitive fear. The ego feels threatened, and it responds with sullenness, possessiveness, or a desperate attempt to win back her attention. You feel the impulse to interrupt, to display your own value more loudly, to mark your territory. The emotionally sovereign man does the opposite. He remains a fixed point of calm in her manufactured chaos. He may offer a brief, warm glance that says, "I see you," but he does not waver. His energy remains his own. This non-reaction is the most powerful reaction. It tells her, without a single word, that you are not threatened by other men because you are certain of your own value. You are not competing for her. You are the prize, and your unshakable confidence is the proof. You must stop trying to grasp the feeling, to pin it down with words, like attempting to capture running water in your fist. It will always slip through. When she offers you ambiguity, you must resist the urge to demand clarity. The man who says, I just need to know where we stand, is outsourcing his own peace of mind. He is asking her to manage his emotional world. The mature man understands that his presence is the only definition required. He doesn't ask what this is, he simply times his asterisk. He continues to be the man who is fun, engaging, and centered. He lets his actions provide the certainty that his words do not need to. He becomes the riverbank, so solid, so present, so unmovable in his own certainty, that the water of her feelings has no choice but to flow alongside him. She doesn't want to be caught. She wants to find a current she can finally join. Your energy must become a mirror, not a floodlight. When she pulls back, the instinctive error is to push forward with more intensity, believing your passion can reignite hers. You double your efforts, you increase the romantic pressure, you try to overwhelm her retreat with your advance. This only makes her build her walls higher. The attuned man does something far more sophisticated. He subtly mirrors her energy. If she takes a step back, he takes a half step back himself. He gives her the space she is silently requesting. This is not about playing games. It is about demonstrating a profound level of emotional intelligence. It shows her that you are listening to her behavior, not just her words. You are respecting her unspoken needs, which proves you are safe. This creates a gentle vacuum, a space that she, feeling safe and unpressured, will eventually feel a natural pull to step back into. Ultimately, the ideal reaction is an internal one. It is the final, liberating realization that your goal is not to win her, but to become the man who is worthy of being chosen. You stop focusing on her actions and turn the full force of your attention back onto yourself. You stop analyzing her texts and start building your life. You stop waiting for her validation and start validating yourself. You become so absorbed in your own mission, your own growth, your own peace, that her presence becomes a wonderful addition to your life, not the center of it. You don't attract by chasing, you attract by becoming. You become the lighthouse. You do not chase ships or scream for their attention. You simply stand solid and tall, radiating your light. And the ships that are looking for a safe harbor will inevitably find their way to you. And so you arrive at the final turn, the quiet inversion where everything you thought was about her becomes about you. You came here to learn the signs she likes you, to decode her mystery, believing the answer was a key to unlock her heart. But the truth is, the key was always meant for your own cage. We began with a paradox. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. Now, you see it for what it truly is, not a riddle to be solved, but a mirror being held up to your own stability. Her storm was never a test of your ability to calm her. It was a test of your ability to remain calm yourself. You were so focused on reading her weather patterns that you never stopped to ask if you were a sturdy oak rooted deep in the earth or a flimsy reed thrashed about by her every wind. The entire dynamic was never about her behavior. It was about your reaction to it. This is how the game ends. Not with a victory, but with you walking off the field entirely. Her tests, her ambiguity, her distance, these were all questions her subconscious was asking of your presence. When you chased, you answered, I am not stable. When you demanded clarity, you answered, my peace depends on you. When you grew resentful, you answered, I am easily threatened. The moment you stop answering, the questions cease. Your stillness becomes the only statement necessary. It is a presence so solid, so self-contained, that it offers no hooks for her anxiety to grab onto. She cannot test a man who is not playing. Her storm, when it meets the mountain of your centeredness, does not break the mountain, it breaks upon it, its energy dissipating into a calm mist. You do not win by outsmarting her. You win by making the game itself irrelevant. You must finally stop trying to grasp the water of her emotions and instead become the riverbank. She does not want your explanations. She wants to feel your stability. She does not need your passionate declarations. She needs your unshakable presence. Your power is not in the grand gesture, but in the quiet, consistent hum of your own inner peace. This is the ultimate attraction, a man so rooted in his own purpose and so at home in his own skin that he becomes a fixed point in her chaotic world. You become the lighthouse, not by chasing the ships, but by standing firm and radiating your light into the fog. The chase implies need. Stillness implies value. When you stop needing her to be a certain way for you to feel okay, you give her the one thing she has been searching for all along, the freedom to finally move toward you without fear. The journey to understand her was always destined to be a journey back to yourself. You sought to learn her language, only to discover that the most powerful communication is the silence of your own grounded being. Her distance was the invitation, her ambiguity was the path, her fear was the teacher. The prize was never her surrender, but your sovereignty. The goal was not to get the girl, but to become the man. A man who no longer sees a confusing woman, but a human being protecting a vulnerable heart, waiting for a presence safe enough to reveal it to. This is the shift that changes everything. It is the end of anxiety and the beginning of a quiet, magnetic confidence. You no longer need to look for signs because you have become one. Now, look again. Comment what you now see in her that you couldn't before.